My name is Terrell Wong, as he just said, and Stone's Throw Design is my company, and I've been doing this craziness for about 30 years now. And I decided to pile it on with an off-grid CLT water access only cabin. So it's basically built with very few materials. It's just CLT, wood fiber insulation, helical piles, blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, so the next slide. So this is what was existing. It's on an unregulated site, and there are those in Canada, where the building code does kind of apply, but not really. So this allows us a little bit of leeway. But the existing structure was deemed to be too close to the water, obviously not in great shape. And we were asked to, given the zoning bylaws that did occur on this site, to come up with something that could accommodate all of their needs. So we move forward. And this is what we came up with. So we had to pull it back from the water, so that's one of the issues. And we were very limited on how much living space we could have, how many buildings on the site of an accessory building. So it was a zoning math, not real math. But it took us a while to figure out how we could double up on all of our functionality to get them all of the living space they need. We turned the bottom of the house, which is behind those slats, into boat storage, so that didn't need an extra building for that. And there's lots of glazing in specific spaces so that the indoors becomes outdoors. So go to the next slide. We started with our helical piles. We did not know what we were going to find on the site. When we demolished the building, it had some concrete piers, perilous granite rocks that would cause an engineer whinging and apoplexy. And we had areas with soft soil, we had areas with bedrock. And so the helical piles came in with a local company and provided us this underlayment. And one of the main reasons we used it is one of the requirements is not to take down any trees if you don't have to. I think it was the bylaw to send the building back from the water that caused the most trees to be removed, because that they wouldn't back down on. So as you can see, I mean, the forest is still going through it at this point, and we did have some trees come down. There's some more pictures of some helical piles, and you can see they're really cool different ways they get attached. Some of them are screwed in, and some of them are pinned down. And so this makes a grid underneath the building, providing that base and the storage space underneath. So go forward. And this is what an empty bin, an empty trailer of CLTs looks like. It's quite a cool shot, I think. That was filled to the top. So when we were designing this thing, we started with my architectural software to create the design, and then we worked with a company in Germany, and they had their own software. And of course, those softwares don't speak the same language, they don't talk to each other, but we worked as a team and came up with a way to get the information from my computer and their computer to talk. So I had to draw every wall, every outlet, every corner, every angle, and it was a back and forth to create this. And then they came together and they filled this thing like it was to the top with the CLTs. And because it's on an island, you can't use you've heard of CLTs that can be 40 meters long, 10 meters high, whatever. We had to do 1.2 meters by whatever height we needed, because we needed to have 4 guys not die underneath them as they were being brought in, which brought its own challenges, because one of the benefits of CLT is that when you put them together, there aren't so many pieces, so you're just taping occasionally. Whereas in this sort of situation, it was a little bit more gingerbready, and we had to tape between them all. So do the next slide. And so the whole team, including the driver from the truck, we took over a parking lot and spent 3 days laying all this out. And they were all labeled and everything like that. And this is before we got them on the barge. So this is us on site, and we're putting it together. It is very much like a gingerbread house and everything lifting and stuff. And we just had small equipment and this hand lifting tool with the gentleman here raising up each of the pieces. The site was not nice to us. It rained a lot. We got provided with some waterproofing on the CLTs at the bottom, and every night we had to cover it. And it was in the fall, so you can see it's getting cold, and we're trying to sort of race the clock before snow comes. So you can see we don't even deal with the overhang here as we put the roof on. We want that CLT to come down and then go like this, and then we'll take those 2x4s and just let them fly off the roof. So we'll keep going forward because I did get to talk about it. More pretty pictures as we're protecting the roof on this side, and then we continued that down the walls. Go to the next one. More pretty pictures. You can see how it's sitting on the beam at the bottom. There's a series of beams that are attached to the top of the helical piles. The floor just floats on top of those. It's stick framing in its best form. Keep going forward. Everything is a cathedral ceiling in a CLT building. So in this place, we have this big opening here, and I have a large opening there, and we'll see pictures when I have the more final pictures. This is where we wanted this room to be inside and outside at the same time. So there are big sliders there that when they're open and the screen is in, you feel like you're outside, because they didn't have enough square footage to be allowed an actual outdoor deck at that point. So we'll have an indoor deck. So there's the Gutex already on. You can see that the windows have been installed. They've been weatherproofed in, and you've got your vertical furring. And you can definitely see how we've made that sort of boat storage underneath with all those helical pile grid. And it's just a series of very large prefabricated beams they're not pressure treated. They're actually finished in Germany, and they're supposed to last longer than a pressure treated beam. So next. This just shows you, this was all done by hand. Every single piece of this was finished on this island by hand and then installed, which is pretty amazing. We'll go to the next one. And this, Aaron provided these for me. There's a small outbuilding on the project. So this isn't the main house, but we're showing the Gutex being installed in this picture. And then you can see the next one, we'll go to that. And this is also the other exterior building, but because I don't have any pictures of the 2x4s on their end as they shoot off and make those overhangs, this is less structural, but on the bunkie on the property, we did the similar thing to create that ventilation space, which is really important in our northern climate up here to ensure that we keep that condensation layer outside the building and not inside your structural frame. So go to the next one. Product placement? No. So we're putting on our the Adhero onto the roof. Because we have the ventilation above this, then that's a good product for this location. And then we'll go to the next one. And this is sort of the final building at the back. And I want to talk on my last slides about the design and how we kind of made the most out of a very small space. So back here is, this here is the master bedroom, and the client specifically asked for a room that could be kept cold and separate from the rest of the house. They literally open the windows at night. And then the screened-in porch is hard to see because it was absolutely raining like no tomorrow when we were there. The one day I could take these pictures. And that goes directly through the house, through those screen porches, those screen sliding glass doors out to the lake. So the next picture, I think, is the plan. And so we were standing over here, and you can look from this point all the way through the house. But that's the sliding door on both sides, and you can walk through and have that breezeway, creating these nice cross ventilation in the summer. So when it's hot or humid, that this house is actually in a great shape. At the bottom is that living room, what we saw earlier. And then the circle is a fireplace that's sort of the heart of the house. And it took us months to find just the right one, and the client ended up finding a great one. So it's a nice, big, great room at the front. And I tried to make these cross things. So this, when you're standing here, you can look through the building. When you come in at the side, you can look through the building this way. And trying to get the most of the spaces that are available. So we'll go to the next. That shows the fireplace there in that living room. And you can see it in this section there. I like the software that I use. It kind of makes it easier to figure out what the building's going to look like. So the next slide. And there's the fireplace. So we're starting to look. We had no sun, and this is an off-grid building. I had to use a flash. I apologize. I am not a photographer. So this is when you're in the living room. You can barely see the sliding glass door to the right, but you're looking through the spaces to the kitchen at the far end. And that just kind of keeps every space together. The cathedral ceilings are quite amazing. And then at the corner there, when you're at the kitchen working in there, you have the whole view of the lake. So the next slide. This is looking back. Once again, terrible pictures. But you can sort of see the sliding glass door on the side. We've got our fireplace that can be seen from both sides, connecting those two spaces. And then this one here is from the kitchen, kind of seeing how the different roof forms are meeting at this point. And we get this really nice high door with a transom here that connects down the whole vertical aspect of the building. And then we'll go to the next slide. That's that kitchen where you can sit there and you kind of survey your land and see everything around you. We tried to use as many natural materials as possible, and this house basically runs on 8 solar panels. It has, they have an outhouse for one part, and they have a small composting toilet on the inside, and the water has to come from the lake. And they have, the gray water system. So in the wintertime when they come, they have, there's a little loft area where we keep the water that we can pump up from the lake in the wintertime so that they can have water at that time of year. The next one. Yeah, so most of the time it's run with very few lights, so it's very hard to take these pictures. But this is from in the master bedroom, looking all the way through the house to that front window. And on the side, you're going to see, wherever you are in the house, you're always looking out. So I think that's quite a special aspect to this house. And the next slide. And that's the master bedroom looking back into the forest. Yeah, and they get a cathedral ceiling as well, which is kind of beautiful. That's another picture from just a different angle. And that's the last one. You can see that was thunder and lightning. We had to wait there with our tea in the dark while the thunder and lightning was going on because you can't get off the island until it's safe. So I took this. This is one of my more favorite pictures despite the lack of sunlight that day. But you're on the screened-in porch. So you're outside and you're listening to the thunder and the lightning. But you can see through the house. The hearth is here. And yeah, just kind of like this inside and outside at the same time is kind of a neat perspective. And the house is very, very small. I think it was 750 square feet. Yeah, and they have a bunkie, and that's the whole thing. And I think that's the end of my talk. Very short. Thank you very much.